Welcome to the first episode of the career of Hulk Hogan. Today, we dive into the early years of one of the most iconic figures in professional wrestling. Before he was known as Hulk Hogan, he was Terry Eugene Bollea, a young man with big dreams. Terry Eugene Bollea was born on August 11, 1953, in Augusta, Georgia. Raised in a middle-class household, Terry's father, Pietro Bollea, was a construction foreman, and his mother, Ruth Bollea, was a dance instructor. The family later moved to Tampa, Florida, where Terry spent most of his childhood and teenage years. As a young boy, Terry was naturally athletic and had a passion for baseball. He dreamed of playing in Major League Baseball and even caught the attention of scouts from the New York Yankees and Cincinnati Reds. However, an injury ended his baseball aspirations. In a recent interview, Hogan revealed how an injury prevented his potential MLB drafting.
I was scouted in 10th and 11th grade by the Cincinnati Reds and New York Yankees, but I broke my arm. I pitched and played third base, and a guy stepped outside the box and he hit the ball in the handle. It dribbled down the third baseline, and as I ran, the bases were loaded. We came up on the infield, and as the ball dribbled down the third baseline, I picked it up and I threw it underhanded to first base, and I broke that cap off my elbow just by throwing the ball awkwardly off balance. And so they put a cast on my arm, and that cap went back on, but I had an overhand fastball and an overhand drop ball that nobody could hit, because I was like a big kid in high school, and I was really good, throwing a fastball and overhand drop ball that would come at you the same way and drop off at the last minute. But after that, my pitching arm was screwed from third base. I didn't have the same arm, and so they put me in the outfield, and I just wasn't into it.
During his teenage years, Terry discovered a new passion in professional wrestling. Growing up in Tampa, he was captivated by the larger-than-life personas. He regularly attended wrestling events, where he became enamored with the spectacle and drama of wrestling. In 1976, Terry began training under the legendary Hiro Matsuda. Matsuda was known for his rigorous training methods, and he pushed Terry to his limits. Hulk Hogan's training under Hiro Matsuda is a legendary story in professional wrestling. Matsuda, a renowned wrestler and trainer, was known for his rigorous and often brutal training methods. Hogan began his training at Matsuda's gym, known as the Snake Pit, in Tampa, Florida. Matsuda's training was incredibly demanding, involving thousands of push-ups, squats, and sit-ups. The goal was to test the physical and mental endurance of his trainees. On Hogan's first day of training, Matsuda decided to test his resolve. During a grappling session, Matsuda broke Hogan's leg. This was a deliberate act to see if Hogan had the determination to continue pursuing a career in wrestling despite the injury. Hogan later recounted that Matsuda twisted his foot until his shin bone snapped.
And finally, Mike Graham says, "Look, you've been coming here every week." And I ran my mouth around town telling everybody I wanted to be a wrestler, which is the worst thing you can do. So at the end of the day, he set me up with a guy named Hiro Matsuda, a Japanese wrestler. And what they did was, the first thing they did was they made me run. And so Matsuda got in a station wagon. He got like 5 or 6 feet behind me, and he made me run around Tampa Stadium 2-3 times till I was ready to pass out. And then they got me in the building where the ring was, and they had me do jumping squats and push-ups and side straddle hops and jumping squats till everything was white. And I was getting ready to faint. Then they threw me in the ring, and Matsuda got between my legs. He stuck his elbow in my shin, grabbed my toe, and broke my leg.
Despite the severe injury, Hogan was determined to prove himself. He returned to training as soon as his leg healed, earning Matsuda's respect and admiration. This incident became a defining moment in Hogan's career, showcasing his resilience and dedication. In 1977, a young Terry Bollea, who would later become known as Hulk Hogan, embarked on his professional wrestling career. His journey began by wrestling for Championship Wrestling from Florida. During this period, Hogan faced several notable opponents and participated in various matches across Florida, but wrestled under a mask as the Super Destroyer except for one match against Brian Blair. After a year of intense training, Terry made his professional wrestling debut on August 9, 1977, against Don Serrano in Fort Myers, Florida. Here is a list of just some of his early matches. August 10th, Fort Myers, Brian Blair faced Terry Bollea. August 19th, Tallahassee, Brian Blair faced Super Destroyer. August 26th, Tallahassee, Great Mephisto faced Super Destroyer. September 2nd, Tallahassee, Super Destroyer faced Tony Rocco. September 9th, Tallahassee, Gordon Nelson faced Super Destroyer. September 10th, St. Petersburg, Super Destroyer and Mike York defeated Tony Rocco and Don Serrano. September 23rd, Tallahassee, Don Serrano faced Super Destroyer. September 30th, Tallahassee, Great Mephisto faced Super Destroyer. October 4th, Gainesville, Charlie Cook faced Super Destroyer. October 7th, Tallahassee, Roll Motta faced Super Destroyer. October 8th, St. Petersburg, Steve Kern defeated Super Destroyer. October 12th, Miami, Super Gladiator defeated Super Destroyer. October 14th, Fort Lauderdale, Super Destroyer faced Wilhelm Ruska. October 20th, Melbourne, Super Destroyer faced Super Gladiator. October 21st, Tallahassee, Charlie Cook faced Super Destroyer. October 22nd, Lakeland, Charlie Cook defeated Super Destroyer. October 28th, Fort Lauderdale, John Boy Ruffin faced Super Destroyer. These early encounters were crucial for Hogan's development. He faced a variety of opponents, gaining valuable experience and honing his skills in the ring. After his initial stint in 1977, Hogan took a break from wrestling. This period allowed him to train intensively and refine his wrestling skills. He continued training under Hiro Matsuda. This break was essential for Hogan to build a strong foundation and prepare for a more significant impact in the wrestling world.
By 1979, Hogan returned to the ring with a renewed focus and determination. His return marked the beginning of the rise to stardom, eventually becoming one of the most iconic figures in professional wrestling history. And the next time we talk about Hulk Hogan, we talk about his return to wrestling, and he makes his way to Southeastern Championship Wrestling.